This is the Ohio AgNet from the Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF. Visit with your local ag retailer about 0% financing on all BASF crop protection, seed treatment, and Zetavo brand soybeans now through March 15th. I'm Ty Higgins. Join us tomorrow as we help seed consultants kick off their 2026 winter agronomy meetings at the Lakeview Loft in Hillsboro. To get a full list of meetings and to RSVP, visit seedconsultants.com. Then, our next monthly check-in at Farm Credit Mid-America will be coming up on Thursday. Trials are in from the 2025 growing season. Beck's Hybrid's going to be rolling them out with their insight meetings that will highlight their practical farm research. Jared Chester is with Beck's. I visited with him about some of the things that stuck out from the findings in 2025.
So I tell guys that the beauty about PFR is, and you know the book is really expansive and big, is we've got something for really anybody and everybody. So based on, we know farmers are different in terms of their farming practices, what they're thinking about implementing or changing, but some of the things that I think really stand out this year and some of the things that we've been focusing on really trying to share with farmers is, you know, what has worked consistently, and what's really going to pay the bills in terms of, you know, we're not out there sharing the message that you need to cut everything, but there's some things that we think that we can probably shift some dollars to be more profitable. So looking at things like how can we be more efficient with our fertilizer dollars, that's probably the top thing that we've been looking at. Nitrogen, P and K, and then, you know, different starter programs, what seems to be working more consistently, especially for us in Ohio, on the corn side, and then also on the soybean side. So it's not just, you know, where can we cut, but also where do we need to continue to invest, and where are you going to get the best bang for that investment dollar. So that's probably some of the things that I think really highlight this year in terms of what farmers have the most interest in, is really, you know, what can we help them guide some of those input decisions.
Almost every farmer I talked to talked about those early planted soybeans. Across Ohio, we had 2 planting windows really, and the soybeans that went in April, late April, before we got the rains in May, seemed to perform much better than the ones that got in after all those rains. Is that what you found in your research here as well?
Yeah, so we've actually got a 28-year multi-location data set on soybean planting dates. Got to be one of the largest data sets in the industry, if not the biggest. But we saw the same trend this past year in terms of the early planted beans pay, and it's in our data, it's probably the top things that farmers can implement to try and raise higher yielding soybeans consistently, is just get them in the ground sooner. So yeah, we continue to see that trend. Some years it's more pronounced than others. Like you said, this past year, really pronounced. That was probably one of the biggest takeaways I heard from guys that were really happy with yields. You know, a lot of it was, did they get some late rain, but also seemed like the earlier planting really paid again this past year.
More of my conversation with Jared Chester with Beck's is on the new Ohio AgNet podcast. You can find that at ohioagnet.com, the audio and video version. You can also find it on YouTube and Facebook as well. We'll have more of my conversation with Jared coming up a little bit later on in this broadcast. Also at ohioagnet.com, deer gun season results from 2025. And when it comes to international agriculture trade in 2026, 2025 offered some important lessons that can be carried into the new year. Mike Zuzolo with Global Commodity Analytics and Consulting LLC breaks it all down at ohioagnet.com. Let's get a check of the forecast with Ryan Martin, brought to you by Seed Consultants, simply better performance, online at seedconsultants.com.
For today, we are seeing southwest flow take control. There is a system trying to exit the Great Lakes this morning, so northern and especially northeastern tier counties of Ohio may see some clouds to start the day. I think everybody by this afternoon can turn out partly sunny at least. We're looking at a very nice day tomorrow as well on temperatures, watching again some moisture trying to pass by to the north. So from US 30 north, spits and sprinkles are possible and a lot of clouds. Less clouds down the south. Wednesday, sunny and dry in most areas. Thursday, we're watching moisture come up from the southwest. Mid to late afternoon in southwest Ohio, then overnight Thursday night through Friday over the rest of the state. 1/4 to 1 inch rainfall totals, 100% coverage. Secondary moisture coming early Sunday morning can bring an additional 1/10 to 1/2 inch. And then behind that, we are quite chilly to finish the weekend and start next week. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thank you, Ryan. The Ohio AgNet continues after this.
Whether you're in the fields or on the farm, creating a safer work environment has never been easier. BWC's safety consulting services are included with your policy premiums and offer training and education for everyone in your farming operation. It's always the right time to make safety a priority. Visit bwc.ohio.gov or call 1-800-644-6292. The Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation, here to help you work safely.
If your summer road trip leads you to Ohio's farm country, be sure to share the road with Ohio's farmers. Farm machinery moves slowly, makes wide turns, and needs extra space to avoid obstacles like mailboxes and guardrails. Let's all be mindful and make sure everyone gets home safe and sound this year. This message brought to you by the Ohio AgNet, OSU Extension Ag Safety and Health Team, and this station.
Welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. I'm Ty Higgins, continuing my conversation with Jared Chester with BEX. Their new PFR, or Practical Farm Research, is wrapped up for 2025, and this is a chance for them to do some things on their plots that farmers might be thinking about doing, but with the way that the farm economy is, input prices and such, might not be a feasible time to put some of those new ideas into practice. What are some of the ideas that Jared and his team saw through PFR that may just work in the years to come for farmers across the Midwest?
Yeah, so some of the things we've looked at, one thing that comes to mind, Ty, right off the bat is we've looked at some fall planted soybeans. So worked with a company that developed a special polymer that released on, basically temperature and moisture. So trying to figure out, was that practical? Wasn't so much practical for us in Ohio, but actually out west where they have a much more stable winter, we were able to raise 90 to 100 bushel beans planted in the fall. So that's something that we took a look at for a few years. We kind of decided it probably wasn't practical enough as a whole, but we do some odd trials like that. Another one that kind of stands out this past year that we took a look at that we had a lot of interest in because it had a lot of hype over the last year is actually a product called Green Lightning. So it's a company that developed this product where you can actually, they sell a machine that you plug into the wall and put your garden hose into it, and they claim that you can make your own nitrogen. So it was something that we tested. And a lot of times when a company approaches us to test something and it sounds maybe a little too good to true, unfortunately that's how it pans out a lot. But we know we've got to do some of those, off the wall type things to stay on the cutting edge. As a whole, some of the other things that we're looking at within BEX is looking at a lot of automation too. So, how is that going to develop in the future, whether it's, a tractor that a farmer's driving or totally autonomous. So continuing to look at some of those, out of the box type things because indefinitely we're going to get some learnings out of them that maybe they aren't fully practical this year or in the next couple of years, but typically, we learn something that'll help us in the future.
Now, you can't mention automation without me asking about AI, because we're hearing that technology may be helping farmers make some agronomic decisions. Where does that come into your research, where you plug in something to, let's say, ChatGPT, you find out what it is, you do it, and see if it works or not?
Yeah, I think the greatest benefit for AI and how it relates to our research is back to, the book is 280 pages, and we do that every year, and that's not even all of our research. That's just the stuff that makes the book. There's some other, like what we call learning type projects, where we'll do different type of observational learnings that we just can't put it in the book. We don't have enough pages. But I think the real benefit with AI, all those things is being able to help share that information and really sort through the information as a farmer, because all that stuff gets published from us, but really being able to speed up that process of the farmer being able to find it and then really being able to implement it better. We try and keep practical farm research, as practical as possible. We try and deliver, solutions that the farmer can really implement, because at the end of the day, if we find something that works, but if guys can't do it, it's really pointless. So I think that the AI piece is really going to be able to help them sort through it and answer the question that they have at that time.
On that same note, you have some insight meetings, PFR insight meetings coming up that is going to help get this data to kind of leap off the page and get farmers in the room an idea of what you're able to find. Why are those so important, and how can farmers find out when and where they are?
Yeah, the insight meetings are great. If you've never been to one, it's open to anyone, BEX customer, non-BEX customer. You can bring wife, kids. It's typically they last about 2 hours, so that includes a meal. So we'll eat. They're either lunch or dinner. Or we even have a few breakfast meetings, but we'll eat, and then we put on typically about a 50-minute presentation. It's with agronomist here in Ohio, so myself and Luke Schulte will cover most of the southern meetings. Mike Hannawald and Mark Apelt cover the northern meetings. But the great thing about it is back to, we do a lot of research, and one thing we hear a lot is, Jared, just tell me what I need to know. Farmers have so much to do. Just tell me what I need to know. And that's what these meetings are. We're focusing on the things that we think are really important, that we've had some great consistent learnings on, and that farmers really need to focus on in the coming year. So things, again, most of the meeting is focused around profitability and where should we continue to invest, and what are some areas that maybe we can shift some dollars away from. So yeah, the best way to find out for your upcoming local meeting, you can reach out to your local BEX representative, or you can go to the website, bexhybrids.com, and they actually have an interactive map that shows all the different meeting sites, and shows the location, times, address, all that sort of stuff.
And again, it really is an open book to tell you what worked and what didn't work in 2025, and how farmers can, as Jared mentioned, find out some of those efficiencies that may be lacking on the farm and figure out how to make that bottom line look a little bit better after the 2026 growing season. Jared Chester, my guest. He is the PFR Agronomy and Data Information Specialist here at BEX. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Ty.
Again, our full conversation is online now with the new Ohio AgNet podcast. The audio and video versions on our website, ohioagnet.com, but you can also find the audio version wherever you listen to podcasts, the video versions on our Facebook and YouTube pages. Back after this on the Ohio AgNet.
Here's farmer and businessman James Wood.
We farm about 3,500 acres. There's pipelines everywhere. The contractor working on my property did not have the lines located before he began work, and it resulted on a strike on a natural gas pipeline. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it could have been much worse.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
We'll get a check of overnight market numbers, but first, market analysis brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky. Call 574-566-2113 for information on soybean marketing to LDC. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished lower on the first full trading day of 2026 last Friday. Corn down a couple of pennies, beans down a couple of pennies, and the wheat markets overall didn't give us much to be excited about either, fractionally lower to unchanged overall. What we saw on Friday was some farmers selling, well, a little bit. It was after the turn of the year, so everybody can take money right now. Managed money also was selling out there, so the technicals didn't line up to give us anything too super exciting to get to the upside. There are expectations out there now for corn yield to drop by about 1.5 bushels to 3 bushels per acre on the January 12th report, but the area for grain harvest might increase by 500,000 to 700,000 acres due to reduced silage acres. I have a major problem with that, to be honest with you, because I think planted acres were too high as well. So could be an interesting report on the 12th. We're gearing up for that this week. I'm Ryan Martin.
As we check out overnight markets, corn for March up 0.5 penny at $4.38 a bushel. May $4.45 3/4, a 1/4 cent higher. Corn for July $4.52 1/4, also up by 1/4 penny. Soybeans for January up 6 1/4 at $10.35 3/4. March $10.50 3/4, up by a nickel. May beans up 4 1/4 at $10.63. July wheat up 1 1/4 at $5.32 1/4. Markets brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Live cattle closing out Friday up 4.40 at 236. April 235.97 up 377. Feeder cattle for March 762 to the plus side at 352.95 after Friday's close. April feeders 352.25 up 802. Lean hogs for February, 84.10, down $1 Friday. April down 80 points at 89.10, and May lean hogs 93.37, down by 62 points. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Ty Higgins. We'll see you down the road.